Hey, everyone, I'm Emma, a 34-year-old single mom from Portland, Oregon, and this is the story of the worst Christmas Eve of my life. Picture this. I'm standing in the freezing snow, clutching my 7-year-old daughter Lily's hand, tears stinging my face as my parents slam their front door shut, locking us out. Yeah, you heard that right. My own family kicked us out of their house on Christmas Eve, leaving us with nowhere to go, all because my sister Claire couldn't stand the sight of me. And the kicker? I'd been paying their rent, their bills, everything, over $180,000 of my hard-earned money over 5 years, yet they chose her lies over us. It was supposed to be a magical night. Lily was so excited, chattering about presents and Grandma's famous pecan pie. I'd spent days baking cookies, wrapping gifts, dreaming of a cozy family holiday. But instead, I got betrayal, served cold as the Oregon winter. My parents didn't just turn us away, they humiliated us in front of everyone, aunts, uncles, cousins, while Claire smirked, accusing me of things I never did. And to top it all off, I found out that very day they'd swiped $10,000 from my credit card to bail her out of trouble. Again, I'm still shaking thinking about it. How could the people I loved most, the ones I sacrificed everything for, do this to me and my little girl? Where are you watching from? Have you ever been blindsided by family? Hit that subscribe button and stick around to hear how this nightmare unfolded and how I fought to take back my life. Trust me, you won't believe what happened next. So, let's rewind. To understand why Christmas turned into a nightmare, you need to know about my family, my parents, Michael and Susan, my sister Claire, and the cracks that were always there, hidden under our picture-perfect Portland life. So there I was, standing in the snow with Lily, my heart shattered by my family's betrayal on Christmas Eve. To understand how we got to that awful moment, I need to take you back to where it all started, my childhood in Portland, Oregon. From the outside, we looked like the all-American family. My parents, Michael and Susan, raised me and my younger sister Claire in a cozy suburban home with a big oak tree out front. We had barbecues in the summer, carved pumpkins every fall, and went to church on Sundays. It was the kind of life you'd see in a Hallmark movie. But beneath the surface, there was always something off, like a shadow I couldn't quite name until I was older. Claire came along when I was 4, and I was over the moon to have a little sister. I'd save my allowance to buy her toys, braid her hair, and cheer her on at her school plays. But even as kids, I noticed how differently we were treated. When I aced my math tests, Mom would just nod and say, "That's our Emma, always reliable." But when Claire got a C, they'd throw a party, praising her for trying her best. If I cried, I was told to toughen up. If Claire threw a tantrum, the whole house stopped to comfort her. They'd say, "Claire's sensitive, she needs more love." I didn't mind at first. I wanted to be the big sister they could count on. So I studied harder, joined the soccer team, and helped with chores without being asked. By high school, I was valedictorian, president of the debate club, and working part-time at a coffee shop to save for college. Claire, though, had a knack for chaos. She'd skip classes, sneak out with her friends, and once got caught shoplifting at the mall. Every time, Mom and Dad made excuses. "She's just finding herself," they'd say, while I was held to an impossible standard. I started to see how Claire could twist things, blaming me for her mistakes, crying to get her way. And my parents ate it up like she could do no wrong. It stung, but I told myself it was fine. I was the strong one, right? I got a full scholarship to Oregon State, majoring in marketing, while Claire barely graduated high school. They paid for her to go to community college, where she dropped out after a semester. Still, they'd brag about her free spirit to their friends, while my achievements were just expected. Looking back, those years planted the seeds for what happened that Christmas. I was always the one who had to hold it together, who wasn't allowed to falter. Claire's drama was a storm that sucked up all the air in our family, and I was left picking up the pieces. By the time I was an adult, that pattern had hardened, me giving everything, them taking it for granted. And it wasn't just emotional. When I started my career and became a single mom to Lily, that dynamic turned into something even more painful, something that would lead us straight to that locked door in the snow. Those childhood years in Portland, where I was the reliable one and Claire was the storm, set the stage for the Christmas Eve nightmare that left Lily and me out in the cold. But to really understand how deep that betrayal cut, you need to know what I went through as a single mom, pouring everything into my family, heart, soul, and every last dollar. After high school, I headed to Oregon State on a scholarship, juggling classes and two part-time jobs to cover what the scholarship didn't. I graduated with a marketing degree and landed a job at a Portland ad agency, working my way up to account manager. Life felt like it was falling into place until I met David. David was charming, a graphic designer with big dreams. We fell hard, got married at 25, and welcomed Lily a year later. But when Lily was 6 months old, I found texts on his phone from a coworker. He'd been cheating for months. The divorce was brutal, leaving me a single mom at 26 with a baby, a mortgage, and a heart in pieces. Those early years were a blur of 12-hour workdays, late-night diaper changes, and scraping by on too little sleep. I'd drop Lily at daycare, rush to meetings, and cry in the office bathroom when it all felt like too much. But I kept going for her. Lily was my world, with her big brown eyes and infectious giggle. I wanted her to have a childhood full of love, even if it was just the two of us. By the time Lily was 4, I'd clawed my way to a senior position at the agency, earning enough to move us into a cute 2-bedroom apartment in Southeast Portland. We had a routine: Saturday pancake mornings, trips to the zoo, bedtime stories. But then, 5 years ago, everything shifted. Dad had a stroke, and during his recovery, I learned my parents were drowning in debt. They'd been bailing Claire out of one mess after another: failed businesses, unpaid rent, rehab stints. Their savings were gone, and they were months behind on their rent. I couldn't let them lose their home, so I stepped in. I started covering their monthly rent, about $2,000, plus their utilities and medical bills. When their car died, I co-signed a loan for a new one. When Claire needed another round of rehab, I paid for that too. All told, I've shelled out over $180,000 in 5 years, dipping into my savings and maxing out credit cards. Claire's life, meanwhile, was a revolving door of chaos. She'd get clean, move in with a new boyfriend, then crash back to mom and dad's when it fell apart. They'd call me, begging for help, and I'd send another check, thinking it was for them. I kept it quiet, not wanting to shame anyone, but it meant sacrificing vacations, Lily's college fund, even new clothes for myself. I told myself it was what family did. I wanted Lily to grow up with grandparents, with traditions. But every dollar I sent was a step closer to that Christmas Eve when they'd turn their backs on us, leaving me to wonder how I'd been so blind for so long. The weight of those 5 years, pouring over $180,000 into my parents' lives while raising Lily alone, made the sting of that Christmas Eve betrayal cut even deeper. I'd given everything to keep our family afloat, only to be locked out in the Portland snow with my little girl. But before that night turned into a nightmare, I was full of hope, planning a holiday that would bring us all closer. Christmas was always my favorite time of year: the twinkling lights on Portland's downtown streets, the smell of pine in our apartment, Lily's excitement over Santa. This year, I wanted it to be special, a chance to make memories that would outshine the struggles of my single mom life. Little did I know, the warning signs were already there, flickering like a faulty string of Christmas lights. Lily and I had been counting down to Christmas Eve for weeks. She was 7 now, old enough to dive into holiday traditions with a contagious joy that made my heart ache in the best way. We'd spent a Saturday at the Portland Saturday Market, picking out handmade ornaments, a tiny felt reindeer for her, a star for me. Back home, we strung popcorn garlands for our little tree, laughing when the strands broke and popcorn scattered across the floor. Lily insisted on baking sugar cookies for Grandma and Grandpa, carefully shaping them into stars and bells. "Do you think Grandpa will like the ones with sprinkles?" she asked, her face smudged with flour. I hugged her tight. "He'll love them, sweetheart. You're making this Christmas the best yet." I meant it. After years of carrying my family's burdens, I was ready for a night of warmth, maybe even a moment where they'd see all I'd done for them. I'd also gone all out on gifts. For Mom, I found a vintage cookbook at Powell's Books, filled with recipes like the ones she used to make when I was a kid. For Dad, a wool scarf to keep him warm during Portland's chilly winters. Even for Claire, who'd been distant lately, I got a leather journal, hoping it might help her sort through whatever she was going through. I spent hours wrapping each one in shiny red paper, tying them with ribbons Lily picked out. It wasn't just about the gifts. It was about showing them we were still a family, no matter how strained things had been. I'd even tucked an extra $500 into an envelope for Mom and Dad, knowing their heating bill was due. It stretched my budget thin, but I told myself it was worth it. Then, about 2 weeks before Christmas, I got a call from Mom that set off the first alarm bell. Her voice was too cheerful, the kind of forced brightness that always meant something was up. "Honey, we're so excited for Christmas Eve dinner at our place," she said. "But, Claire's been having a rough time since her breakup with that guy, Tyler. She's fragile. Maybe it'd be easier if you and Lily came another day." I froze, gripping the phone. "Mom, it's Christmas Eve. We've been planning this for weeks. Lily's made cookies and everything." There was a long pause, then a sigh. "Of course, you're right. Come at 6, okay? Just be patient with Claire." I brushed it off, telling myself Mom was just worried about Claire's mood swings. Claire had always been dramatic. Surely she wouldn't ruin a holiday for everyone. But the unease lingered. A few days later, I texted Dad to confirm the time. His reply was short. 6 is fine. Claire's staying with us for a bit. Heads up, she's not herself. Not herself? That could mean anything with Claire, sobbing 1 minute, raging the next. I remembered the last family gathering, Easter, when she'd stormed out after arguing with Mom over something trivial. Still, I didn't want to assume the worst. I called my Aunt Rachel, who'd always been the family's voice of reason, to get a read on things. "Something's off, Emma," she said. "Your mom's been tiptoeing around Claire, like she's a bomb about to go off. They're acting like you're the problem, but they won't say why." My stomach churned. "Me? I haven't even talked to Claire in months." Rachel sighed. "I know. Just watch your back, okay?" The week before Christmas, I threw myself into preparations, trying to drown out the growing dread. Lily and I baked a pecan pie, her favorite, using Mom's recipe with extra brown sugar. We picked out matching outfits, red sweaters and black boots, like a mini holiday duo. Lily was buzzing with excitement, practicing her part in the school Christmas pageant and asking if Grandma would make her special hot cocoa with marshmallows. "Will Aunt Claire tell me stories about when you were kids?" she asked one night, curled up in bed. I forced a smile. "Maybe, sweetie. We'll have a great time, I promise." But deep down, I wasn't so sure. 3 days before Christmas, Mom called again, her voice even shakier. "Emma, are you sure you need to come? It's just Claire's really struggling and we don't want any tension." I felt a flash of anger. "Mom, I've paid your rent for 5 years. I'm bringing your granddaughter, who's been dreaming of this night." "We're coming." She backpedaled fast. "Of course, honey, I didn't mean it like that. 6 o'clock, see you then." I hung up, staring at the phone, my mind racing. Why were they acting like I was the one causing trouble? I checked my bank account, a habit I'd picked up since covering their bills, and noticed a pending charge, a $10,000 cash advance on my credit card, dated that morning. My heart sank. I texted Dad, "What's this $10,000 charge?" No reply. I tried Mom. Nothing. The silence felt like a warning, but I wasn't ready for what was coming. Christmas Eve morning dawned gray and cold, with a light snow dusting Portland's streets. Lily woke me up, bouncing on my bed. "It's Christmas Eve, Mommy. Can we open one present early?" I laughed, pulling her into a hug. "Not yet, silly. We've got a big day ahead. As we packed the cookies, pie, and gifts into the car, I tried to shake the knot in my chest. Whatever was going on with Claire, whatever that charge was, I told myself we'd handle it. I wanted Lily to have the Christmas she deserved. But as we drove to my parents' house, the snow falling heavier, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were heading into a storm far worse than the one outside. Driving through Portland's snowy streets to my parents' house, I clung to the hope that Christmas Eve would bring the warmth and connection I'd been craving, despite the warning signs, Mom's hesitant calls, Dad's vague texts, and that mysterious $10,000 charge on my credit card. Lily, buckled in the back seat, hummed Jingle Bells, clutching the tin of cookies she'd baked for Grandma and Grandpa. I wanted this night to be magical for her, a memory to cherish, not the disaster it was about to become. But as we pulled into my parents' driveway, the sight of Claire's beat-up sedan parked crookedly out front made my stomach twist. The storm I'd sensed was here, and it was about to hit us hard. We gathered our gifts, pecan pie, and cookie tin, the snow crunching under our boots as we approached the house. The windows glowed with Christmas lights, and the smell of roasted ham wafted out, promising a cozy evening. But the moment Dad opened the door, his face tight and eyes avoiding mine, I knew something was wrong. "Come in, quick," he muttered, ushering us inside. The living room was crowded. Uncle Tom and Aunt Linda, cousins from Salem, and a few neighbors I barely knew. Everyone was laughing, sipping cider, but the air felt heavy, like a held breath. Mom rushed over, her apron dusted with flour, and gave Lily a quick hug. "Oh, sweetie, you look adorable," she said, then glanced at me, her smile faltering. "Emma, you made it." Before I could respond, Claire's voice sliced through the chatter. "What is she doing here?" She stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, her bleached blonde hair pulled into a messy bun. Her eyes were bloodshot, her glare venomous. The room went quiet, forks clinking awkwardly against plates. Lily pressed closer to me, her small hand gripping mine. "Claire, it's Christmas," I said, keeping my voice steady. "We're here for family." She scoffed, stepping forward. "Family? You've been trashing me to everyone, telling them I'm a junkie, a failure. You think I don't know?" I blinked, stunned. "Claire, I haven't said a word about you to anyone." It was true. I'd barely seen her in months, too busy with work and Lily to gossip. But she barreled on, her voice rising. "Liar. Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, they all look at me like I'm trash now, and it started after you had coffee with Linda last month. You're always playing the saint, making me look bad." Linda shook her head from the couch. "Claire, that's not what happened. We were just worried." Claire cut her off, pointing at me. "See? You've turned them all against me." My heart pounded, confusion giving way to anger. "Claire, you're making this up. I've done nothing but support you." I glanced at Mom and Dad, expecting them to step in, to calm her down. Instead, Mom wrung her hands, her eyes darting to Dad. He cleared his throat, stepping between us. "Girls, let's not do this now. Dinner's ready." But Claire wasn't done. "I'm not eating with her," she spat. "She's ruined my life, and you invited her here like it's nothing." That's when it happened, the moment that broke me. Mom touched my arm, her voice barely a whisper. "Emma, maybe you and Lily should go. Just for tonight. Claire's in a bad place, and her therapist says stress could set her back." I stared at her, my breath catching. "Go? You're kicking us out on Christmas Eve." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "It's not like that. Claire's mental health is fragile right now. You're strong, Emma. You can handle this." Lily's hand tightened in mine, her voice small. "Mommy, why is Aunt Claire mad? Did I do something bad?" The room spun. I looked around at the faces, some shocked, some avoiding my gaze. Uncle Tom started to speak, but Claire's wail drowned him out. "Get her out. I can't breathe with her here." And then, unbelievably, Dad took my elbow, guiding me toward the door. "Just go, Emma. We'll sort this out tomorrow." Mom followed, tears in her eyes, but she didn't stop him. I'll pack some ham for you, she mumbled, as if that could fix anything. Lily started to cry, her sobs echoing in the silent hallway. I knelt down, wiping her tears. You didn't do anything wrong, sweetie. We're okay. But I wasn't okay. I was humiliated, betrayed, my heart splintering as I realized they were choosing Claire's tantrum over us. As we stepped outside, the door locked behind us with a final click. Snow swirled around us, soaking Lily's red sweater. I pulled her close, shielding her from the wind, my own tears mixing with the flakes. "Mommy, where do we go now?" she whispered. I didn't have an answer. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a bank alert. Hands shaking, I checked it. The $10,000 charge had cleared, labeled as a cash advance to my parents' account. A text from Dad popped up, emergency for Claire's legal fees. We'll explain later. Legal fees? They'd stolen $10,000 from me on the same day they locked us out. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial, a knife twisted deeper. I stood there, snow piling on our shoulders, Lily shivering against me. The gifts, the pie, the cookies we'd poured our love into were still inside, along with any illusion I had about my family. They'd taken my money, my trust, and now my daughter's Christmas, all to protect Claire's lies. I wanted to scream, to bang on the door, but I looked at Lily's scared face and knew we had to move. I buckled her into the car, cranking the heat, my mind racing. Where could we go? Our apartment was a 40-minute drive, and the roads were icing over. A hotel? My savings were drained from years of supporting them. As I started the car, my phone buzzed again, another text from Mom. "Please understand, Claire needs us." I turned it off. They didn't deserve my response. The snow fell harder as we drove away, the glow of their house fading in the rearview mirror. Lily's quiet sniffles were louder than the car's engine, each one a reminder of the innocence they'd crushed. I'd given them everything, my money, my energy, my love, and they'd thrown us out like we were nothing. But as the road stretched ahead, a spark of anger ignited in me. This wasn't the end. They'd broken us tonight, but I wasn't going to let them break our future. The snow stung my face as I drove away from my parents' house, Lily's quiet sobs in the backseat echoing the ache in my chest. They'd locked us out on Christmas Eve, choosing Claire's baseless accusations over us, and the sting of that $10,000 charge they'd swiped from my credit card burned like a fresh wound. I'd given them over $180,000 in 5 years, thinking I was holding our family together, only to be discarded like trash. As Portland's icy streets blurred past, I gripped the steering wheel, trying to figure out where we could go. But before I could process the betrayal, a phone call revealed a truth that turned my pain into rage, a truth that showed just how deep their deception ran. I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour diner off Burnside, the only place open in the storm. Lily, shivering in her damp sweater, looked up at me. "Are we eating here, Mommy?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetie. Let's get some hot cocoa and figure things out." Inside, the diner was nearly empty, just a tired waitress and a lone trucker at the counter. We slid into a booth, the neon lights casting a harsh glow on Lily's tear-streaked face. My phone buzzed again, another text from Mom. "We're sorry, Emma. Claire's in crisis. Come back tomorrow." I ignored it, my hands trembling as I ordered cocoa for Lily and coffee for myself. I needed to think, to find a plan, but my mind kept replaying Claire's venomous words and my parents' cold dismissal. Then my phone rang. It was Aunt Rachel, my dad's sister, the one who'd warned me something was off. I answered, my voice barely steady. "Rachel, they kicked us out." In the snow. Lily's crying, and I don't know what to do. Her gasp crackled through the line. "They did what?" "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." I was at the dinner, and I saw Claire's meltdown, but I didn't think they'd go this far. I swallowed hard. She accused me of spreading lies, turning everyone against her. "I haven't done anything, Rachel. And they took $10,000 from my card today for Claire's legal fees," they said. There was a long pause, then Rachel's voice dropped, heavy with disgust. "Emma, There's something you need to know. Claire doesn't even know you're the one paying for everything. Your parents have been telling her they're the ones covering her rehab, her rent, all of it. They've been taking your money and letting her think they're the heroes. My breath caught, the diner spinning around me. What? You're saying they've been lying to her? For years. Rachel sighed. I overheard your mom talking to Linda after you left. They've been doing it to protect Claire's feelings, to keep her from feeling like a burden. But it's worse. They've been acting like you're just the successful one who doesn't need help, while Claire's the victim who deserves everything. I stared at the steam rising from my coffee, my mind racing. All this time, I thought Claire's resentment came from her own insecurities, her struggles with addiction. But now it made sickening sense. My parents had built a fantasy where they were the saviors, erasing my sacrifices to prop up Claire's fragile ego. Every check I wrote, every late night I worked to cover their bills, was funneled into a lie that painted me as the outsider. Rachel, I said, my voice shaking, I've given them $180,000. I maxed out my cards, dipped into Lily's college fund. And they let Claire think I'm the bad guy. It's worse, Rachel said, her tone grim. I checked with Tom, and he said your parents bought Claire a car last year, a used Honda, about $15,000. Guess who paid for it? You. They used your money, Emma, and never told you. They've been treating your bank account like their personal ATM, and Claire's been lapping up the benefits, thinking it's all from them. I felt like I'd been punched. A car? $15,000? I remembered that month. I'd skipped a car repair for myself because my savings were drained. I'd told Lily we couldn't afford new sneakers, promising her next month. And all along, my money was buying Claire a car I didn't even know about. The waitress set a mug of cocoa in front of Lily, who sipped it quietly, her eyes still red. I reached across the table, squeezing her hand, trying to anchor myself. Rachel, why would they do this? I'm their daughter too. Her voice softened. They're scared of losing Claire. Her addiction, her breakdowns, they think if they don't keep her happy, she'll spiral worse. So they take from you because you're strong, because you always come through. But it's not right, Emma. It's theft, plain and simple. The word theft hit like a slap. I opened my banking app, scrolling through years of transactions. There they were, monthly rent payments of $2,000, utility bills, medical copays, cash transfers labeled emergency. And now, the $10,000 charge, plus that $15,000 car Rachel mentioned. I did the math in my head, $180,000, maybe more, gone to a family that had just locked me out. And Claire, oblivious, was aiming her anger at me because my parents had fed her a story where I was the villain, the perfect sister who made her look small. They'd built a house of lies with my money, and I was the one left in the cold. Lily looked up, her cocoa mustache almost making me smile despite everything. Mommy, are we going home soon? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Soon, baby. We're gonna be okay. But inside, I was raging. My parents hadn't just betrayed me, they'd manipulated Claire, too, pitting us against each other to keep their fragile balance. They'd stolen more than money. They'd stolen my trust, my place in the family. As the diner's jukebox played a tinny version of Silent Night, I felt something shift. This wasn't just about Christmas Eve. This was years of being used, of being erased. I couldn't let it continue. Not for me. Not for Lily. I thanked Rachel and hung up, staring out at the snow piling up outside. The truth was a jagged pill, but it gave me clarity. I wasn't just a victim of Claire's outburst or my parents' cowardice. I was a victim of their deliberate deceit, a system where my sacrifices were hidden to prop up their lies. But knowing the truth was power. It was time to stop being their safety net. As Lily finished her cocoa, I knew the next step wasn't just about finding a place to sleep tonight. It was about confronting the people who'd built their lives on my back and left us to freeze. Sitting in that Portland diner, the truth Aunt Rachel revealed hit me like a freight train. My parents had been using my money, over $180,000, to fund Claire's life while letting her believe they were her saviors. The $10,000 credit card charge for her legal fees and the $15,000 car they bought her with my savings were just the latest betrayals. As Lily sipped her cocoa, her innocent eyes watching me, the rage from being locked out on Christmas Eve hardened into resolve. I wasn't just going to survive this night. I was done being their doormat. It was time to confront my family and take back my life. The next morning, with the snow still blanketing Portland, I arranged for Lily to stay with my friend Sarah for the day. I needed to face my parents and Claire without her seeing the storm that was coming. I spent the night at a cheap motel, barely sleeping, compiling a folder of bank statements, transaction records, and a spreadsheet totaling every cent I'd given them, $183,472.16, to be exact. Each number was a scar, missed vacations, delayed car repairs, Lily's college fund drained. Armed with the truth, I drove to my parents' house, my heart pounding, but my mind clear. This wasn't about revenge. It was about respect for me, for Lily, for the life I'd fought to build. Dad answered the door, his face a mix of guilt and surprise. "Emma, we've been calling," I cut him off, stepping inside. "We need to talk." Now. Mom was in the living room, wringing her hands, and Claire slouched on the couch, scrolling her phone, her eyes narrowing when she saw me. "What's she doing here?" she snapped. I ignored her, setting my folder on the coffee table. "This," I said, my voice steady, "is every payment I've made to keep this family afloat for 5 years. Rent, utilities, medical bills, Claire's rehab, her car. $183,472.16. My money, not yours." Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Dad's face paled. Claire froze, her phone slipping to her lap. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. I opened the folder, sliding the spreadsheet toward her. "You thought Mom and Dad were paying for your rehab, your rent, that Honda you're driving? Wrong. I paid for it all. Every single cent. And they let you believe it was them." Claire's eyes darted to our parents, searching for a denial. Mom's voice trembled. "Emma, we were trying to protect Claire's feelings." I held up a hand. "Protect her? By stealing from me? By taking $10,000 from my credit card on Christmas Eve for her legal fees without asking? By kicking me and Lily out in the snow to appease her lies?" Claire's face crumpled, a mix of shock and shame. You paid for my rehab?" she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" Dad started to speak, but I cut in. "Because they didn't want you to know. They've been using me to prop you up, Claire, while painting me as the bad guy. And I'm done." I turned to my parents. "Effective today, I'm stopping all financial support. I've spoken to my bank. The joint account is closed. You have 3 months to figure out your finances, sell the house, get a reverse mortgage, whatever. I've set up a transition plan with my advisor, and they'll contact you. But my money? It's off the table." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, we can't survive without you. Your father's health." I shook my head. "You're capable adults. You've leaned on me too long, and it's cost me everything, my savings, my peace, my daughter's Christmas. You chose Claire's tantrum over us. That's on you." Dad's voice hardened. "So you're punishing us for one bad night?" I met his gaze. "This isn't about one night. It's about 5 years of taking me for granted, lying to Claire, and erasing my sacrifices. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself." Claire stood, her hands shaking. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Throwing this in my face like I'm nothing." I looked at her, seeing the pain behind her anger. "I don't think I'm perfect, Claire. I think I'm human, and I deserve respect. So does Lily. You called her a kid who didn't belong. She's your niece, and you broke her heart." For the first time, Claire looked away, her defiance cracking. I gathered my papers, my voice calm but firm. "This isn't the end of our family, but it's the end of me carrying it alone. You all need to figure out how to stand on your own." As I walked out, Mom's sobs followed me, but I didn't turn back. The weight I'd carried for years was lifting, replaced by a fierce determination to rebuild a life where Lily and I came first. Walking away from my parents' house after laying bare their lies, how they'd used my $183,472 to prop up Claire while kicking Lily and me out on Christmas Eve, I felt a strange mix of relief and raw pain. The confrontation had been a reckoning, but it didn't erase the ache of that snowy night, or the question of where we'd go next. As I drove back to the motel where we'd spent a restless Christmas morning, my phone buzzed with missed calls from Mom and Dad, but I silenced them. I needed space, and Lily needed me to be strong. Little did I know a chance encounter in that bleak moment would light the way forward, showing me that kindness could come from the unlikeliest places. Back at the diner off Burnside, where we'd huddled after being locked out, the snow had slowed, but the cold still bit at our fingers. Lily, bundled in her red sweater, clutched a coloring book Sarah had lent her, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. I was sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through hotel listings I couldn't afford, when a woman at the next booth leaned over. "Rough night, huh?" she said, her voice warm but not prying. She was about my age, with curly brown hair and a teacher's lanyard peeking from her coat. I managed a tired nod. "Yeah, you could say that." She smiled at Lily, who was shading a reindeer purple. "She's got an artist's touch." "I'm Natalie, by the way. I teach 3rd grade down at Laurelhurst Elementary." I introduced us, keeping it vague, but Natalie's easy manner drew me out. She shared that her own Christmas plans had fallen apart, her brother's family canceled last minute due to flu, and she was facing a solo holiday. "This diner's my backup plan," she laughed, holding up a plate of pancakes. Lily perked up, pointing to her coloring book. "I like pancakes too. Mommy makes them with chocolate chips." Natalie grinned. A girl after my own heart. Their banter eased the knot in my chest, and when Natalie asked why we were at a diner on Christmas Eve, I let slip a piece of the truth: family drama. "We're figuring out where to crash tonight." Natalie's face softened, and after a moment, she said, "This might sound crazy, but I've got a spare room at my place. It's just me and a very lazy cat. You and Lily could stay tonight, have a real Christmas morning. No pressure, but it'd be nice not to eat these pancakes alone." I hesitated, wary after everything, but Lily's hopeful glance and Natalie's genuine smile tipped the scale. "If you're sure," I said. "We'd be grateful." Natalie waved off my thanks. "Honestly, you're saving me from a sad holiday movie marathon." Her craftsman bungalow in northeast Portland was a haven, string lights on the porch, a mismatched tree adorned with kid-made ornaments. Inside, it smelled of cinnamon and cedar, and her tabby, Muffin, curled up by Lily's feet, earning instant giggles. Natalie heated up leftovers, turkey, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and we sat around her small dining table, the glow of candles softening the edges of our rough night. Lily chattered about school, her shyness melting as Natalie asked about her favorite books. I shared a little more about our situation, careful not to overwhelm, and Natalie listened without judgment, nodding like she understood family chaos all too well. As we cleared plates, she told me about her own family. A distant mom, a dad who favored her brother, and how she'd learned to build a life with friends who felt like kin. "Sometimes," she said, "the family you choose is the one that shows up." Her words hit deep, a reminder that Lily and I weren't as alone as I'd felt. After dinner, Natalie set up an air mattress in her guest room, piling it with quilts. Lily fell asleep clutching Muffin, her face peaceful for the first time in 24 hours. I sat by her, brushing her hair, and felt tears prick my eyes, not from pain, but from gratitude. A stranger had given us more warmth in one night than my family had in years. As Natalie and I sipped tea in her cozy kitchen, I felt a spark of hope. This wasn't just a place to crash, it was a glimpse of what life could be without my family's weight. Natalie's kindness, so simple yet profound, showed me that I could rebuild, not just for Lily, but for myself. Tomorrow, I'd start putting the pieces together, but tonight we were safe, warm, and, for the first time in a long time, not carrying the world alone. Natalie's kindness that Christmas Eve, offering us a warm bed and a glimpse of chosen family, gave me the strength to start anew after my parents' betrayal and years of draining my savings, over $183,000 for them. Back in our Portland apartment, I was ready to rebuild. Lily and I turned our space into a haven, hanging her colorful drawings and stringing up fairy lights. We started a new tradition, Friday pizza nights, where she'd pick toppings, giggling as we made smiley faces with pepperoni. "This better than Grandma's ham," she said, her joy healing my heart. I began therapy, meeting weekly with Dr. Patel, who helped me see my worth wasn't tied to being my family's fixer. "You've carried enough," she said. "Now carry yourself." It wasn't easy. Guilt lingered when I thought of Mom and Dad, but I stayed firm, sticking to my 3-month plan to end financial support. For New Year's, we hosted a small gathering with Natalie, Sarah, and their kids. Our apartment buzzed with laughter as Lily led a dance party, twirling in a thrift store dress. I watched, feeling free, surrounded by people who valued us without strings. Lily thrived, her confidence returning. We explored Portland's parks, baked lopsided cakes, and read Harry Potter by lamplight. Therapy taught me to set boundaries, not walls, preparing me for cautious talks with my parents later. That New Year's night, as fireworks lit the sky, I held Lily close, whispering, "We're building our own magic, kiddo." For the first time, I believed it. This wasn't just surviving, it was living, on our terms, with love that didn't demand my soul. Building new traditions with Lily, surrounded by friends like Natalie, gave me a foundation to stand tall after cutting off my family's financial lifeline, $183,472 I'd given them over 5 years. As winter thawed in Portland, small shifts emerged. Claire sent a hesitant email, apologizing for Christmas Eve and sharing she'd entered rehab again, this time in Seattle. I replied, wishing her well but keeping my distance. Mom and Dad listed their house, moving toward a condo, grumbling but adapting to my 3-month transition plan. Our contact stayed limited, a cautious lunch where they tried with Lily, though tension lingered. Reflecting on that snowy night, I learned a hard truth. Boundaries aren't betrayal, they're survival. I'd poured everything into a family that used me, but saying no gave me back my life. True family, blood or chosen, lifts you up, not drains you dry. I'm teaching Lily that love means respect, not sacrifice, so she grows up knowing her worth. Therapy and friends like Natalie showed me I'm enough, just as I am. Life's not perfect. I still flinch at Mom's calls, and Claire's recovery is uncertain. But Lily and I are thriving, our apartment a haven of laughter and love. We're planning a spring camping trip, just us and our chosen family. My lesson for you: set boundaries, even when it hurts. They protect your peace and teach others to value you. Have you ever had to draw a line with family? I'd love to hear your story. This journey wasn't easy, but it led us to hope, a hope I'm holding tight as we write our next chapter.